Okay, so we've got a silver Zarya player here. Um, so as a silver Zarya, the main things I'm going to look at here in terms of your play is your positioning and your bubble usage. So Zarya's utility comes from her ability to build charge, which allows her to do more damage. The more damage she does, the faster she builds Grav, and of course Grav is a team fight winning and thus game winning ultimate, right? So if you can get more Gravs in a game, it's a lot easier for you guys to secure that win, especially when you're paired up with a Hanzo, because Grav Dragons is just a very, very potent ultimate combination. Now, that being said, how and when you use your bubbles is how what defines your positioning, I guess, is the easiest way to say that. It defines when you should play aggressive, when you should passively, when you need to retreat for health, when you can chase down those kills. Um, so you say that your Ryan kept on pushing in a bit far, and you had to use your bubble on him. So Reinhardt's never a bad target for your bubble, um, with the caveats of timing, right? You have to bubble Ryan at the proper moment, and there are a lot of intricacies with that. But the basic idea, um, to maximize the effectiveness of your bubbles, to maximize the protection it gives the teammate or yourself, and then to maximize the charge that you get from it, is you want to make sure that your bubble target is being targeted or focused down or is taking damage in some way. Right, so if Ryan's already in the thick of things, he's already swinging. There, Reinhardt's swinging on him. He's being focused down. Then you can use bubble on him, right? And they're already focusing on him, so you're going to build charge, right? Same thing with you. If you're in the thick of things, you're being focused down. You can self bubble, and they're still going to be focusing you. You gain full 40 charge from both bubbles. Um, and of course, bubble timing controls when you should engage and things like that. But anyway, we'll see where this goes. I also really like your comp. You have I don't like that Lucio speed boost out of the door there. You have a good composition for this rush down comp, right? You've got a Lucio and Moira, a great healer combination, right? AoE healing. Moira does a lot of healing. Lucio has that speed boost that allows him to maneuver your team, to push in, to back out. You've got the Mei, who is just one of the most broken heroes in the game right now. She's just so frustrating to play against. Provided that they're at least a half decent Mei. And then Hanzo is good for some ranged damage, from some spam damage. So it's, his ultimate pairs well with Zarya. You have a good team comp here. Your bubble just got deleted there. But so far so good. So your Ryan did charge in. Not a terrible charge, Mei put up her wall and kind of created some separation between the enemy team. So the fact that your Ryan charged in is not bad because, one of two things is going to happen. Either one, the Ryan's going to countercharge, in which case he's prone on the ground and your team is in a position to support your Reinhardt. Their team's in a harder position because there is a wall separating them. Or Ryan lands the pins him against the wall, and is still in a good spot, right? So that was an aggressive play, but I think it was the right play by your Reinhardt. And then you bubbled him, you got a full 40 charge off it, all's well and fine. So when Ryan's charging, it is a good idea to bubble him. However, most Annas, even like in silver and gold, are going to use their nade on a charging Reinhardt. So your bubble can actually negate the effects of anti-nade. So what's going to happen is, if your Ryan charges and lands that pin, their Anna's going to throw her anti-nade into you, which she does, right? See that Zarya got hit with Bionade. For some reason, it didn't quite hit your Reinhardt, but, it very well could have, and then your Reinhardt would be without healing. You're without bubble. Your Reinhardt's kind of up shit creek. He can shield and back up, but in other situations, what you want to do is hold off on bubble until like the very last second, until you see that anti-nade go down or until Ryan lands that pin, right? Because you're either going to block anti-nade or you're going to move the negative effects of anti-nade, right? And anti-nade is a death sentence, or at least it should be a death sentence to heroes in like higher ranks. And so far I'm liking what I'm seeing. Good job chasing down that tour. Your self bubble there wasn't really needed. you know, you weren't really being focused down, you weren't really being threatened. So, okay. This is the first thing I don't like. But this is also a low elo mentality. Um, for whatever reason, people like gold and below, even some people in platinum, seem to think that you need 3 people on cart. You don't. All right. Sure, I will acknowledge that if you have 3 people on cart, it moves a little bit faster. But really, that speed difference is negligible, right? It is not that much faster. I think depending on the map, it's maybe 20 to 25% faster. It is right. It's not that significant. It's not that big of a difference. And the much better use is what the rest of your team is doing here, right? You and Reinhardt should be pushed up here, right? Your Reinhardt should be holding this corner right here, or even a little more aggressively holding this corner right here, right? Because what that does is it claims all this space for your team, right? So right now you're standing on cart. The only space you have, the space is defined basically as a safe area for your team where, you know, if you have a Zenyatta or something, if they can stand in the open and are safe from being attacked, then that is space that your team controls that you, right? So the only space that you guys have right now is everything behind the cart. And carts going along. They're respawning, and because you guys are on cart, it's moving a little bit faster, but I bet you the cart's going to get to about here before they can recontest, right? And then they're going to have the team fight on cart all the while. Because the cart is contested, it's not moving, right? So that team fight's going to last 20, 30, 40 seconds, and so you just burned a significant amount of your time fighting on the cart while it was not moving, right? And so you're either going to win that fight and push it to the end, or you're going to lose that fight and have to regroup, in which case you just wasted 40 seconds on the clock. And when you only have 4 minutes, that 40 seconds is pretty crucial. However, if you and Zarya and Mei and Hanzo, whatever, push up and you leave Lucio on cart, and if you guys are all standing here, all of a sudden the enemy team now has to take this team fight here, right? And they have to spend the next 20, 30, 40 seconds fighting here, right? All the while, the cart is still moving, right? Because Lucio's on there. He's still going to be pushing the cart. They're not going to be able to contest it, right? So the cart can get almost all the way to the end, if not all the way to the end, without them contesting it. And on top of that, you also test this high ground, right? So if you guys are holding up here, the enemy team cannot safely be up here, right? So your Hanzo can jump up here, and he has perfect sight lines for the enemy team, right? And you take the space, you allow your Hanzo to get into a better position. So your Hanzo, you enable your Hanzo to do more work, right? And of course, pushing up here too, you make your Mei's life easier because it's a lot easier for her to see those walls, to hit those walls, to freeze people. So you should not be on cart, right? There are very, very few situations where Reinhardt and Zarya should be on a cart, all right? Again, now this isn't much on you specifically, this is on your team. And again, I've been through bronze, I've been through silver, I've been through gold, whatever. I know the struggles of trying to get your team to do anything because you're lucky to get anybody in team chat. And then, of course, if you say, "Hey, we need to push up," it's considered, um, you know, you're considered overextending. And I understand the struggle, but just know that what you're doing right now is not the proper play. Of course, you have to play with your team, but if your team is listening, definitely see if they can push up with you. Because taking that space is more valuable than the extra 10 to 15% movement speed or 20% movement speed, whatever it is. It's not what I mean. And you guys do kind of push up here a little bit. Okay. You may waste your wall. So, self-bubble wasn't needed there. You can use your own personal bubble to block Fire Strike. That's not a terrible use of it, mainly because it denies the enemy Reinhardt ult charge as well as building some of your own personal charge, but you know, you have to react just a little bit faster so you actually do block it. If you're already hit by it, don't bother because there's absolutely nothing, and now you have 10 seconds without yourself. So right here, I don't like this because, again, you're standing there, you should be taking this right. That's another thing too. When they're running a Rein Zarya mirror comp, you as Zarya have to pay attention to the other Zarya's bubbles, right? So when she used projected there on their Reinhardt, just back off for a second, right? Or it's 2 seconds, I think the bubble lasts. So just back off, use that chance to reload, and when bubble fades, that's when you push in, right? And again, Mei has her wall between Reinhardt and any healing that they might have. So absolutely, you guys should be pushing this Reinhardt right now. Good bubble on your Reinhardt. Right, good. Use that chance to reload. It's a little thing there, you know, but if you're fighting a 1v1 versus enemies Zarya and she bubbles, just use that chance to reload. Right, absolutely, don't give her the ult charge. Just take that opportunity to reload. Little thing. Get that zone. Yep. Don't be on cart. You and Reinhardt should not be on cart. See, yeah, your Mei had the right idea. You know, you should be up here with Mei, right? You should be taking the space. You should not be on cart. If you guys had been up here with your Mei would have survived. It's actually a good dragon stream here. Probably could have protected bubble even earlier and saved her. But that was good. You heard the Pharah and Genji behind, so you turned around to help your team. You are the off tank, right? And the off tank is generally considered the role that is to peel for the supports or peel for the backline. So it's good that you did that. Again, you know, you probably could have saved your Moira if you just bubble on her. A little bit of a reaction time thing there. Not needed self-bubble. So, what I would do here now is you used self-bubble, or if you hadn't used self-bubble, right? You used self-bubble a little early there. What I would be doing is pop self-bubble and jump in front of Reinhardt, right? Take that pin for your team, because Reinhardt's coming. He's going to pin you right here against the cart, and by you jumping in front of him and bubbling yourself, Rein does no damage, and you eliminate the risk of any of your team accidentally getting pinned, right? And it gives you free 40 charge. It denies their Reinhardt a pin, you know, and more importantly, it protects your team from accidentally being charged, which happens a lot. Protected barrier. So now here, you either want to die on the card. So Zarya doesn't really have much escape or many escape abilities other than her bubbles. So if you don't have self bubble on cooldown, just die on cart, right? Prevent yourself from staggering. If you had just fought and died on cart, you would have. One of those little things, right? All right, let's see how you use Grav. So keep in mind, you don't have to combo Grav with dragons. It's a very cool combination. But you know your Hanzo just used his dragons, and of course he's on your team. You can talk to him. He's only at 30%. So, you know, this fight you might actually want to use Grav, right? Or you can combo with Coalescence. That's a good combo, right? Or even just grabbing so your Reinhardt can swing into it, and anyone that doesn't die, your Reinhardt can just shatter afterwards, right? Grav shatter combo. That's team wipe. Good something. Okay, see, that was just unlucky. Your Moira wasted Coalescence. You know, they grab Barrage there. Not a whole lot you could have done. But
I am not a good loser.
Moira wasted Coalescence, which is... It's a powerful ability, but I mean, at least she can get it back very quickly, provided she's healing. Again, your Hanzo popping off, getting the clutch pick early on. Back out of there, ask your team to follow you. You guys need to push W. Especially now that May is pop Blizzard. And that Drew of Transcendence. You now have free grab. Grab that, grab that, grab that, grab that, grab that. There's 3 of them there. Okay. So, you guys kind of poked around this corner a little bit. Again, that's kind of a silver problem. Just press W as tanks, right? I understand you guys are kind of frightened, but then, you know, when May popped Blizzard, absolutely, you guys pushed in, which was good. And then that drew out there's Zenyatta's Transcendence, which is fine. It's good for you guys. And then you see all 3 of them right here, right? You had their Zarya, you had their Zenyatta, and their Reinhardt. At that point, just grab, right? Pop, toss, grab right here. Put all 3 of those in. Because Transcendence is already going, it's going to run out fairly quickly, right? So just grab them, right? And just start spamming damage into them. Your grav lasts longer than their... At that point, their Transcendence is going to end before your Gravitron ends, right? And so with all you guys there and 3 of them in there, you kill them, right? And then, you know, there's... Sure, they might nano their Reinhardt, but at that point, it's a waste, right? You know, your Reinhardt got the kill on the Zenyatta, but if you had grabbed him in there, you probably could have killed the Ana as well, easily enough. Sure, their Rein might have counter-shattered you, but you killed both their healers. Their Rein... You know, their Rein's going to die, right? It's now a 6v4, so there's not much he can do. So that would have been the perfect opportunity to do that. And your Hanzo had Dragons again. But you grabbed eventually, so I mean, hey, that was good. Like, 2 seconds too late, but hey, that was a good grab. I like it. That was a good fight. So, if we're shooting Zarya's bubble like that, call out to your team, be like, hey guys, let's kill the Zarya, right? So you can shoot into her, your Rein can swing into her, I don't know who's that. Your Hanzo can shoot into her, right? Just have your team help you delete her bubble and then delete Zarya, right? Because every little bit of charge you give her, she becomes more and more dangerous. And you were also at 0 charge, so you don't do a whole lot of damage to her. So, just ask your team for help, right? Because again, this Zarya is way out of position. The only help she has right now is this Ana, right? And so if your Reinhardt's up there, like, your Reinhardt can shield away. Zarya should die, right? She has no help, no support. I have a feeling she's going to live through this, though. Let's see. Killed by Ana. So, yeah, not your job to chase that. Zarya's still behind you. Focused on the fire. We get time to self-bubble, yep. Alright, so I mean...
Makes perfect.
Baptiste wasted his immortality field. Zarya has no bubbles left, you should push in hard. Push W. Your Rein, nice. Good bubble usage there. Focus on that Zen, you can kill him. I don't know why you looked away from their Zen there. I mean, you were kind of behind cover, you probably could have killed their Zenyatta. Protect your BAP, you can use your bubble there to protect your BAP. Yeah, so they just burned 3 ults there to kill you guys. Whole bunch of little things there, you know, bubble usage wasn't optimal. Again, you kind of just mistime your bubbles. You either a little too early, a little too late. And then they're, you know, they just popped grab and both their DPS ultimates. So it was a 1 team fight. Good bubble on your Rein. Unfortunate that he's gone. Yeah. So your Moira is going full DPS Moira there. For whatever reason, your Moira was trying to kill a nano-boosted Zarya. when your Moira instead should have been trying to heal you. Again, you probably shouldn't have you probably wouldn't have survived that because now the high charge Zarya is terrifying and does an absurd amount of damage. But and Baptiste wasted his immortality field. Your supports are giving me stress. Like, I am support main, so your supports are stressing me out right now. Zarya above you. So these last couple of team fights have just been chaos for you guys. It seems like you guys don't know where to go or what to do. So the fact that the enemy team is holding us up here is remarkable because your spawn is so close. What you guys look like you're doing is you're kind of just staggering in. There's no target focus. There's ability mismanagement all across the board from your team. So what you guys need to do is this Zarya, right? She's like always up here. You guys can kill her, right? Your Hanzo switched over to now and got an Ashe to try and deal with the Pharah. The Ashe switch is good. I'm not too sure about the Torb pick, but whatever, right? So this Zarya is always over here. She's away from her team. She's in bad position, right? What you guys should be doing is just, even if you just turn around and walk up the stairs to the Zarya, you push her off the high ground, right? You get her away from your team, right? Or better yet, you kill her, right? Because she is out of position. She is in a bad position and she's getting away with it. You can't let her get away with it. When somebody's out of position like this, when somebody's, especially Zarya, when they're away from their team like this, you have to punish them. Right? So move in with your Ryan, move in with your Mira. Have your Ryan start swinging. Bubble him after Zarya starts to focus him, right? Have your Moira throw in a heal orb and make sure that you guys as tanks stay alive. You know, and once that Zarya is dead, the rest of the fight becomes easy. Okay. So this is a risky grab. Why is it risky? Where's your team? Right? It is you, Ashe, right? Ashe can't shoot through the shield. Sure, she can toss a dynamite up here, but that's all the work she can do, right? Zenyatta might have Transcendence. He doesn't, but he might. Right? I can't even remember the last time he used it. They've got Bob here, and Bob's kind of shooting into the side, but their Reinhardt can actually turn just a little bit this way, block off Bob, block off Ashe, and block off you, right? So there is no damage that you can do. The rest of your team is dead or respawning. So ultimates like Grav are huge team fight winning, game winning ultimates, with the caveat that they be used in such a way that your team can help you, right? So right here, you have 3 people caught in a Grav. You can't kill 3 people, right? You are one Zarya, you are low charge, and you are the only person there. So what's going to happen is like their Genji, their Ana, like somebody's going to sleep you or focus you down, or they're just going to straight up ignore you because there is nothing that you can do, right? Whereas if you had pulled back, waited for your team, right, all of a sudden, you know, you throw Grav in, all of a sudden there's a Reinhardt in their face, and a Zarya, you know, and there's a Torbjorn pumping damage, there's an Ashe throwing dynamites, there's all kinds of damage coming in from all sorts of places. You need your team to help you follow up on a Grav, right? This is a fat Grav, absolutely. But there is no one here to help you clean up these kills. So, not a very good use of Grav. What I do like to see there, though, is you're doing the right-click melee combo. So you do kill the Ana, which is good. That's huge. Nice block by your Ryan. Nice counter shatter. Huge outplay by your Ryan. And you guys win. So you won the fight there. I'm going to straight up say it because your Reinhardt just outplayed theirs.
30 seconds remaining.
Again, you guys should not be on cart. You should be pushing up here. Right, you should be taking that fight right here. Right, because look, That's exactly what I mean. So now, all of a sudden, they're walking out, and they can take the fight all the way back here, and the cart's going to stop. Right? Whereas if you guys had pushed up here, now they have to fight you here. And yeah, you know what? There's a couple flanking routes, so you might have to fall back to this corner here. But point is, cart's still moving. You guys are up here. You're still fighting. The cart's still moving. Anyway. Good bubble usage. You caught in a grab, so you do what you can. Kill him the Kill that Zarya. Hunt her down. Yes, I like it. Bubble on your Reinhardt. Again, maybe a little bit early. Okay, so after the first round, biggest thing is you'll notice your bubble usage is okay. Again, generally speaking, this is a very general rule of thumb. Wait until your bubble target is taking some damage before you bubble them. You know, you instinctively bubble a charging Reinhardt, which is fine. You know, most of your bubbles were spent on your Reinhardt, which is fine. You use your self-bubble, though, and not always the best times. You know, wait until you're taking damage, you're being focused, that kind of thing. Positionally, you guys are sitting on carts, and that drives me nuts, but that is a team positioning thing. One thing I haven't seen you do yet is really play with your Reinhardt. So your Reinhardt is pushing in, yes. You should be right up there with him. So, one thing, remember when I said that your self-bubble has a cooldown of 10 seconds and your projected has a cooldown of 8, right? So, what that means is, ideally speaking, you want to use your self-bubble first, right? Get that on cooldown, right? And then you use your projected a few seconds after that, right? And that kind of staggers your bubbles nicely such that you have them kind of when you need them. And so when playing with Reinhardt, there's this kind of game of leapfrog that you and Reinhardt should be playing where, you know, for example, if Reinhardt's standing right here, what you want to do is you want to jump out in front of your Rein, you self-bubble when you start taking damage, and then as you start taking damage, you back up behind Rein's shield, right? And so what that does is it protects you, it protects your Reinhardt, it builds your Zarya charge. And then after your bubble's down, your Reinhardt jumps out, drops his shield, you bubble your Reinhardt, he takes damage, puts his shield back up, and then backs up, right? At that point, you know, your personal bubble should be almost off cooldown, so you can jump in front of him again. And like I said, it's this kind of, you jump in front, back up, he jumps in front, backs up, right? And like I said, it's kind of a game of leapfrog where you alternate who's in front, who's taking the damage, who's controlling the flow of the fight. So that's one of those little positioning things that you can start doing with Reinhardt, is that little game of leapfrog.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Time to heal up. Stop the pain.
So right now your Reinhardt's wasting his shield. He shouldn't be doing it. He's blocking nothing. I was just going to say what I would have done there is jumped out and tried to take some damage from the soldier. So, right play. Again, would have done it maybe 2 seconds earlier when the soldier was focusing down this lane, but right idea. Good bubble on your Reinhardt, charged in. Self-bubble. And then your team just kind of got split. So, bubble usage there was fine. Again, it was a little bit late on your self-bubble to jump in front, and a little bit early on your charging Reinhardt, and so you didn't really get a whole lot of charge on either of those. Self-bubble. Push W. Tanks just push W. Bubble like a Reinhardt. Push in with your Rhine, help your Rhine. So your Rhine charged in like that. So your Rhine was dead, right? There's no way he was surviving that. That was a horrible charge by your Reinhardt. That was a classic YOLO charge. Reason being is because look where his charge left him. Sure, he got a pin here, but I don't even think he secured a kill. And then he's in the enemy's backline where there's no way he's getting support from your team. But when he charges in like that, you guys have to do what you can to support him. So he's playing aggressive. You guys should play aggressive, right? Everybody should be pushing in. Everybody should try and support him, try and keep him alive. And probably not going to work. And it looks like too many of your team are trying to deal with a tracer in the backline. It was just a bad charge by your Rhine and then a lack of response from your team. So there's the old saying where one person doing something stupid is a mistake, 6 people doing something stupid is a strategy. So if your Reinhardt does something stupid like that, you know, in certain cases you kind of have to try and help him. Yes, for the most part, there is not a damn thing you can do to help him, but now you guys are down your main tank. This fight's lost, right? So you have 2 options here. Either 1, you fight on cart and try to build ult charge, or 2, you use Lucio to speed boost yourselves away from this and regroup with your Reinhardt. Only 2 options here. I would go for the dying on cart here, right, to try and burn as much time as you can and build some ult charge. So one thing with projected bubble too. So self bubble, it was a good self bubble. One thing with projected bubble is it actually blocks Tracer's pulse bomb. So if you know someone got stuck, right, you could hear the little thing, you could see the little indication on your screen, you turn and look who it is, and you can bubble them before the bomb goes off, and you get charged from it, right? And it saves your teammate. So this would not have saved the fight, it would not have made a difference here, but it's one of those things that as an off tank, when you're playing against a tracer and that tracer's harassing your backline, that's one of the things you have to keep in mind with your bubble usage is, all right, does that tracer have pulse bomb? If she does, then maybe hold your projected bubble for your squishies, right? So that when tracer does stick, you kind of keep an eye out for that. You listen for that sound cue, you look for the little exclamation mark indication on your screen, and then you flick, you bubble whoever got stuck, you save their life, you get charge, and you use an 8-second cooldown to completely deny easy kill for a tracer.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
I am not a good loser.
Reinhardt should not have been up there. Okay, so at this point, you guys need to back the fuck up and regroup. So you can't win a 5v6, right? For the most of the time, right? Whoever has more people has the advantage in the fight, right? So at this point, what you guys should be doing is backing up and regrouping with your Reinhardt. Like, back up all the way to here. Yes, you're giving him all this cart space, and that's not exactly the most ideal situation, but you can't win this fight. And so if you keep on doing this, you keep on trickling in and staggering like this, you're never going to get a full regroup. So somebody has to make the executive decision, be like, okay, we're down 1. We need to back up, wait for a Reinhardt, and then we can re-engage as a full 6-man team, right? Right now, fighting 5v6, chances are you lose this fight, right? But if you back up, right, and then you lose this fight, you die, your Ryan respawns, comes back out, and suddenly it's like a 1 or 2v6 again, and he dies. All of a sudden, you guys respawn, and it's now a 4v6, right? And it's this weird, it's staggering, is what it is. And you guys, somebody has to make that executive decision. Don't push in, just wait. Get all 6 of us together, and then we push in as a team. Right? Overwatch is a team game. You need your entire team for these fights. Another little tip. don't use your projected barrier on an invisible Sombra, because they might not be able to see the Sombra, but they'll see the barrier running around. I do see that occasionally, and it's actually kind of funny. But if your Sombra's invisible, don't use your projected on her, 'cause then the enemy team knows exactly where she is and can deal with her that way, and you just kill your Sombra effectively. But your Reinhardt's back now. So you probably could have bubbled your Rein there when he shattered. There's Zarya was focusing him, so you probably could have built a little bit of ult charge there. But good shatter by your Reinhardt. Your Reinhardt's outplaying theirs. Aside from his stupid yellow charges. Push this, chase this down. So this is another thing that you don't see in lower ranks, but there's, what, all 6 of you are here? There's 3 of them here. Sure, there's a couple more respawning, but you have a Lucio. Just, Zarya's hacked. Speed on them. Kill this Zarya. Kill this Ana. They're staggering in. You can just walk through here and kill them one by one. Right? And there's not a damn thing that they can do about it. Right? Have Lucio speed you on. This Zarya should have died, like, right here. All of a sudden, their Ana's all by herself. Boom, you walk in, you kill their Ana. Sure, they're Moira, Tracer, and Mayor right here, but I mean, at that point, it's still a 3v6. You guys win that fight, and you get all these staggers. Right? You build yourself some ult charge. Again, in gold, silver, whatnot, that's considered overextending and throwing, but chase down those kills. It's okay to clean up kills like that after a team fight, especially if it forces the enemy team to stagger. Right? It burns time off the clock, it builds ult charge. Again, you guys don't have to babysit cart. The cart's gonna move backwards on its own. Could have saved your Rhine there. You have projected on cooldown, your Rhine's barrier, you could hear it breaking. Always keep an eye on your Reinhardt. Definitely could have saved him there. You can use self bubble here and remove the effects of anti-nade. That was a good self bubble. Another thing that bubbles can do is they can block shatter the same way that Rein's shield can. So if their Reinhardt has shatter, you can self-bubble yourself in front of his shatter, and anyone behind you is safe from it. Almost. But I'm still not a fan of that graph because you don't have a lot of follow-up. You've got Sombra, and Moira. If Moira had coalesced into it, fine. That's great. But she didn't. And I don't know why. Again, risky grab, but
Heal up here. Contact.
Good Reinhardt. Chase that down, chase that down. Moira should not be chasing that down. It should be you and Reinhardt. So, a little bit about your positioning here. You're in a very risky spot. So your Reinhardt was up here hard shielding, and you guys were backing up, which is the right play. But when his shield broke and went down, you guys are still standing out in the wide open. You guys need to be around a corner. You need to be playing around cover or something. With the recent shield nerfs, shields are very weak, and you cannot trust shields, right? So should always be playing around a corner. You should always be playing around some kind of cover, even if it's the cart, right? Even if you're kind of poking in and around carts like this, right? At least when Reinhardt's shield goes down or you start getting pressured and you don't have bubbles, you can just back up and break line of sight with the enemy team, right? Or if you're playing around corner here, you can back up here, back around crates, something, right? Do something to play around so that when your resources are expended, when Ryan's shield's gone, when your bubbles are down, when you get antied, you have somewhere safe to retreat to. And so you are playing a little bit aggressively here. You and Reinhardt are in bad position. You need to be around a corner or something. Around some kind of cover. It's a good try. Climbing up the stairs to save it. That was just a result of you and Reinhardt being out in the open. You guys had been back behind a corner. Reinhardt wouldn't have got walled off. You wouldn't have gotten anti. You might have gotten grabbed still, but at least your Ryan wouldn't have died so early. And you might have been able to survive that.
Healing boost.
Self bubble. I'm okay with that. Fortunate you didn't get hit with the beat, and you got walled off. You know, you got a little bit aggressive there. Let's actually go back and watch that again. So I'm gonna say your Reinhardt's outplaying their Reinhardt party. Like it. So, chasing down Zarya kill here. So this is kind of a tough situation, right? This entire team fight is just chaos. Like, there's why their Ana is over here, I don't know. Your Lucio's trying to punish her for it, which is fine. Your soldiers in the back line doing soldier things, I'm okay with that. You guys are chasing down a Zarya, which is fine. May ults. Lucio beats here.
There you go, right on target.
And you must have been like just outside his beat radius. So honestly, if Lucio had gone maybe 5 feet this way instead of going left, I bet you he would have hit you with the beat. And so you might have survived that. But their Mei did a very good play, walled you off completely, and you died as a result. So that was a huge play by their Mei, like huge freeze, huge wall. That one's just kind of a tough one, right? You got outplayed there. Again, you know, you might not have needed to chase down that kill. You know, you could have held back a little bit and tried to focus down the Ana or others in your backline. But again, I see where your head's at. You know, that Zarya's low. You want to kill that Zarya. You want to chase down those kills. I can see that and I can understand that. I can see where your head's at. This one was just kind of a rough one. Soldier capitalizing on the EMP. Huge. Huge combo.
My will made real.
Finish that Zarya. Good bubble on your Reinhardt. Zarya. That's one of those times where it's okay to accept the charge, right? Bouncing out of the way is fine, you know, using self bubble is fine, but you can also just eat that charge if you have self bubble on, and you know that you're still going to have bubble when you get pinned. That's completely okay. Bubble on Ryan. self bubble. Kill the run, kill the run, kill the run. Nice. You know that Tracer's off in that left room somewhere. Like, you can hear that Tracer just sitting around and poking. Like, she's poking up here, and I can hear her going for the back, so she's dropping down back here. She's in here. Don't let her poke with free range like that, right? There's nothing happening in the team fight right now, so you can go in here and just try and pressure that Tracer. I mean, you're probably not going to be able to kill her, like a Tracer's just going to be able to back away from you, but you can pressure her out of there, right? You can retake the space for your team so that their Tracer doesn't have free reign to harass you guys, right? Because that Tracer can't kill you, right? You know, you've got the support of your team, you have bubbles. The Tracer can't do anything to you, so it's okay to kind of push in here and just try and scare that Tracer away, right? Prevent her from harassing your team. That's an okay bubble on your right. Your Moira AFK? You saved your Rhine there. Again, your bubbles can deny pulse bomb.
EMP activated.
Oh, EMP. Why did she EMP? There's no one here to follow up on that. I mean, it's you, right? You're the only one there to follow up on an EMP. That's not enough. EMP is another one of those big ultimates that can win team fights and thus win games, but you need your team's support to do that, much like Grav. I hope you don't Grav here. So you played a little bit aggressively.
Tactical visor activated.
Probably could have just kept on backing up.
Payload is approaching its destination.
This will restore you.
Round 2 complete.
I'm glad you didn't use Grav right in that EMP. It sucks that you didn't have really a good opportunity to use it, but that is kind of the result of your team never really having a strong full regroup and just the utter chaos that is Silver, where there's no real team fight, it's just everyone's off having their own little random individual duels. But still, the biggest things that I'm noticing are your positioning and your bubble management, and the two of them go hand in hand.
Together,
Right, so
we are strong.
as I noted once earlier, always play around corners, always play around cover. You have a tendency to stand right out in the open. The more you climb, the better people get. You punished for standing out there.
Attack commences in 30 seconds.
You know, hits can get better aim.
True struggle is for the
Enemy tanks
superiority
just
of
get better,
ideas.
you know, if you start to play against other Roadhogs or Orissas or Reinhardts, you're going to be punished for standing up in the open like that. That's you and your Reinhardt. Your bubble usage, the timing, I can see where you're going with the bubbles, but the timing is just a little bit off here. You're a little too early so that your intended target isn't taking damage, and the enemy team has the opportunity to just not shoot your bubble, or it's a little too late where they've already taken the damage and bubbling does absolutely nothing. So right there, the Reinhardt's standing in the open. Don't worry about the Tracer. Right, it's good that you heard the Tracer and you turned to look at her, but their Reinhardt was just push forward and just like throw in some right clicks or something. Right, you heard the Tracer too, and you turned around to look at her, which is good, but a little bit of target focus goes a long way. Securing the kill on that low health target. Good bubble on your right. Jumping forward, nice. So I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that was nice what you did there. You know, your Reinhardt was getting frozen, and so what you did is you kind of jumped in front of him to break line of sight with the Mei to help save him. I don't know if that was intentional, but that was a nice little play. That's one thing that I don't see a lot of lower rank tanks do is body block, right? You don't have to have a shield. You don't have to have your bubbles. Using your 400 health body or like Roadhog, your 600 health body to block incoming damage to protect another teammate is perfectly acceptable and a good thing to do.
30 seconds.
Just make sure you don't die when you self level. Okay, projected. I see what you're doing there. You know, your Reaper's kind of in the thick of it, and that was okay. You know, again, might not have been needed. Your Reaper wasn't really in any huge
10
danger.
seconds.
Our time runs short. We must increase our efforts.
So this is one of those few times where I would say it's acceptable for you and Reinhardt to stay on cart, because it is overtime on a payload map. You know, as soon as you guys get off cart, it's game over, right? So your two options are either, you know, you still leave one person on cart and you push ahead to take that fight, or you all fight on cart and hope for the best. If you all fight on cart and hope for the best, the one thing you do have to watch out for is that they could just save up ults and then just, you know, kill you all, which is usually what happens. But this is one of those few times where I would say it's acceptable for you guys to fight on cart. But I like that you're pushing up right now. I like that you're being a little bit aggressive, especially because you have lamp. This is a horrible use of lamp, by the way, but you've got it so you are safe from dying. You use your self bubble, so you're at pretty high charge. You know, 76 is high charge, so you're doing a lot of damage. This is good. I like this. Oh, you're right. Nice. Good self bubble. Oh man, if you had just been a split second faster, you could have bubbled your Rhine there and blocked Shatter.
Complete.
But that was better, you know, that was some better use of bubbles, you know, your targets were taking damage. Again, so that was one of the first actual team fights I've seen where it's an actual team brawl and everyone is involved. And it's so much easier to build your charge like that when you have those team fights, right? Because everybody's taking damage, so it's very easy to use your bubbles and gain value out of it. But that was good. That was good.
Together, we are strong.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
This is gonna make you feel better.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
It needs room. Don't be afraid to empty your clip, especially when you're right clicking like that. That bubble isn't really needed. I mean, sure, you know what? Was it your soldier that was up here being threatened by the Junkrat? Either bubble him like instantly when that Junkrat dives, or when he gets blasted up and out of the air. When he's in the air, it's very hard for Junkrat to hit any kind of shot, so he's not really in any danger and being run back to your team. Not really needed. If you had dropped it on him as soon as that Junkrat drops down on your soldier, fine, good bubble, right? It protects your soldier, allows him to deal with that Junkrat. Now, you know, you see this Brig incoming on your Reaper. You don't have projected bubble for your Reinhardt or your Reaper when they want to play aggressive, so there are some better uses. Self bubble early there, and then you're taking damage. mean, there you were antied, you had no bubbles, Reinhardt's shield was down, and your Moira was dead. So you guys should be backing up around corner, right? So you backed up and you pushed to the right. That was the wrong way, right? You should back up towards your team, right? Again, you are being focused. You have no resources left. Your Reinhardt doesn't have his shield left. Like, there's no resources, no defensive resources left. You guys need to back up. You need to not be there. Now that you're also down your main healer, you guys need to play a little more conservatively, right? So you need to take as little damage as possible, right? Because Lucio is your only heals, and his heals are actually quite garbage. So this is where I mean you guys need to be playing around this corner. Sure, you know what, you're technically around cover here, but you're gonna have troubles getting back to your team unless you have personal. If you have personal, then this is still a risky position. It's same thing with your soldier. He's playing very aggressively. Um, Again, it's good that he's on high ground and it's good that he's applying pressure, but he's in a dangerous position. You guys need to play around corners, play around cover a little bit. So again, you guys are standing out in the open when you don't.
Bring it.
So everything you're doing right here, you can do from playing back here. You know, you go, you peek around, you shoot a right click, you back up, you right click, you back up, you right click. Everything you're doing right here, and you can still contest card. You're close enough that you can still contest cards. Everything you're doing, you can be doing from back here, right? And this is the better spot to do it from because again, if you ever feel pressured, you take 2 steps this way, and all of a sudden you break line of sight with the enemy team. You've got healers, although you've got a Zarya flank. Interesting. Same thing with your Reinhardt. You know, your Reinhardt's standing out here and doing what? Nothing. Like there's no one within hammer distance, and if fire strikes off cooldown, there is no reason for him to be standing out in the open. You guys should be around this corner. Reinhardt should be letting his shield recharge, and when he has fire strike off cooldown, he can peek around and shoot fire strike, and then just hold back here, right, and just kind of swing around the corner. You guys are wide out in the open for absolutely no reason.
60 seconds.
Back. Follow your soldier. Okay, so a couple things there. You know, you were low health again. You were low resources. Should have just again continued to play a little bit more conservative. You got lucky there that your Ryan got a good fire strike and that your soldier ulted and no one turned to look at him. Another good use of your bubble is when you have a McCree, when you have a soldier, when you have a Pharah, somebody like that, or a Reaper, a DPS in general ulting, put your bubble on them, right? In higher ranks, that Ana's going to be able to sleep your soldier because he is in such an exposed position. The Ana's going to be able to anti him. All kinds of things are going to be able to happen to prevent your DPS from getting value out of their ultimates. All of which you can counter as Zarya by protecting them with bubble, right? Especially guys like McCree or Pharah who are literally standing still when they ult. So, you know, right now nobody's looking at the soldier, so you might not have gotten charge off it, but it is still an acceptable use of bubble to protect your DPS. Make sure you get value out of it.
30 seconds.
Just hang in there.
Reinhardt's wasting his shield there. There. Look at that. Around the corner. Kind of. Almost. Yeah, that one's tough. Can block junk tire with your bubbles. Doesn't matter if it's projected or self, but it is very, very difficult to plan that because tire moves so quickly, especially if you don't know where it's coming from. You just have to use the sound cues, try and determine where it's coming from, try and see it. Bubbles. Play behind range. Grab.
Tactical visor activated.
Victory.
Okay. So, the two biggest things, as I was explaining earlier, bubble usage is suboptimal. Positioning is questionable at times. So, rule of thumb with your bubbles: wait until your target, your intended target, is being focused, is taking damage, or is under some kind of threat. There were a lot of times, like I explained throughout the video, you're either just a little too early or a little too late. You have to be a little bit more decisive with your bubbles. Um, and then positionally, as I was explaining, play around cover, play around corners. Don't stand out in the open for no reason, which you did a lot of this game. Um, Other than that, grav usage, make sure your team is there to follow up with you, right? Keep an eye on your kill cam. If you see 2, 3, 4 people dead from your team, it's a wasted grav, right? You need your team to support you. You need your team to be there to help you follow up with grav. Um, Other than that, yeah, it was an alright game. Focus on positioning yourself a little bit better, a little bit safer, and focus on your bubble management. I think you can definitely climb.